Hey everybody, welcome back to a new video. This is Asian in Norway. In this video I will be giving you some advices about things and services you might need if you're planning on moving to Norway for long term. Now a lot of these services you only have access to them if you have a permanent resident in Norway, and I will be making another video about that later. A job and a place to live is probably the two most important things you need when you live in Norway, but today I will only give you some of the basic stuff that you might need. So the first thing you're gonna need is probably a phone, a SIM card when you move to Norway, so you can have a Norwegian number. Now I'll put a link in the description of all the companies that provide SIM card. It's very easy to get one. All of these companies speak English, and now you might want to choose. Check the prices on these because if you come from EU countries, the choice is very easy. But if you're coming from outside of Europe, gonna move here, and you probably may want to call a family back home, then you have to kind of check the prices on which one is the best for whatever country you come from is more beneficial for you. Now the next one is Finn.no. Finn.no is like almost like a Norwegian Google. Most people use them for if they want to find jobs, rent an apartment or buy an apartment, or even order plane tickets. But also like it has some other additional services, like if you move to Norway for the first time, you probably may not have a lot of money with you, so you're probably gonna be on a very tight budget, considering that Norway is a very expensive country to live in. And you're probably gonna have to buy some furniture and appliances for your apartment, because a lot of the places you rent may not provide for you. Now if you're buying from one of the big companies in the big stores, a new one is gonna probably be a lot more expensive for you, and if you want to save some money, you can buy from other people who have used a lot of these furnitures, because it will be a lot cheaper. But of course, however, there's of course a risk, like you may, if you buy, let's say, a washing machine from somebody that sells for a very cheap price, and there's a risk that the machine may not work when you get it, and even though when they say they do. And of course you can file a complaint against that person on Finn.no, and you can, I never been in that situation, but just to know that there is a risk when you buy from private people. Another unfortunate thing about Finn.no is like there's no English version for it, because it's usually targeted against Norwegian markets, so they expect everyone to read Norwegian. If you have a problem or need some help, you can contact me if you want to, or you can ask some Norwegian friends to help you. The next thing you're gonna need is a Norwegian bank account. Getting a Norwegian bank account is very easy, like the same thing with cell phone. I will put a link in the description of all the banks you can choose from. Go look up for yourself on which banks suit you the best. Word of advice to people who come from outside Europe: you might want to check on a bank that can wire money directly to your country, because if you have family back home, you might want to send them money, and make sure the bank you choose can wire directly to the country wherever you're from. Getting a Norwegian bank account is necessary if you're gonna live and work here, because it will make things a lot easier for you. And if you have your employers may want to ask you for a Norwegian bank account, because not every company accept a foreign bank account. They will prefer a Norwegian one. Some of the big ones do, but some don't. So it's just a lot safer if you have a Norwegian bank account. Now the next thing you might need is a GP or a doctor. Now in case you get sick, what do? Well, you need to register yourself in one of the local GP offices. You can find the information at Helse-Norge. Most of the time Helse-Norge will advise you to go to one of your local GP office, depending on where you live. And of course, if over time you find out you don't like the GP offices or the doctor, you are free to choose one somewhere else if you so want to. So next is your consumer rights. Now this is I will say it's a good Norwegian privilege, because consumer rights is so important in my opinion, because you will feel so safe and secure when you're gonna go buy a product or services. Let's say you are in Norway for the first time, and let's say you are renting an apartment, or you buy a new car, you buy a new washing machine, you buy a new Xbox, or etc. Now, the thing is, if you're gonna buy it, you probably will feel a lot excited when there's something new. But what do you do if the product doesn't work? Let's say your car doesn't work, or your Xbox is not working, and you feel like you're not happy with the deal. Now, we do have something called Forbrukerrådet in Norway, and also Finanstilsynet. These are the two places where Norwegians go to asking for help if they kind of disagree with the company. Now, these public services exist is to protect consumers, because in the eyes of the Norwegian law, they consider the private person the weaker person in the eyes of the law, and the company is considered a stronger person with advantage. Now, the company may have access to their own lawyers, and they have all the rights on their side, and you as a private person may not have access to a lawyer. I mean, you can buy one, but it's gonna cost a lot of money. Let's just say, if you are renting an apartment, and all of a sudden your landlord's gonna be like, hey, I kind of changed my mind about the contract. I want you to leave by the end of the week, so you have a couple days to leave. And now, I don't know the specific details in the law, but I know you can't kick out somebody in just a week. You have to give them at least a month or so longer. And now, what do you do if you encounter one of these situations? You contact Forbrukerrådet. Then you ask them, hey, I'm in an emergency now, my landlord's gonna kick me out, what are my rights? And now, you may not always win, but they can tell you what your rights are, and they can tell you whether the companies or the landlord is doing is legal or illegal. I would say this is probably one of the most important things you should really take note of, because especially if you're a foreigner coming to Norway for the first time, you don't know anybody and you don't know how the system works, it's good to know that you can go ask for help. And don't worry, all of these people speak English. Now, the last thing you need is NAV. NAV is basically like the welfare office, it's run by the government. And if you're running into a situation in your life here, now, for example, if you lose a job because the company goes broke, or they have to let people go because they are running out of money or have to cut, or you get long-term sick, you are gonna need a kindergarten place, you're gonna need some information, etc. In Norway, as a citizen, or if you're working and pay taxes, you get the same rights as a normal Norwegian. You have a lot of different rights. Now, let's say if you have a full-time job, you've been working there for many years and nothing has happened to you, and all of a sudden you run into a car accident and you break a leg and you can't go to work. What do you do? Now, the job will have to pay you a certain amount of money for a short period, but they can't fire you because you got injured in an accident. Then in these particular situations, you have to go to NAV, and they will pay you money while you're being sick. They have their web pages in English, and I also think they have not 100% sure, but they also have Polish, because there's a lot of people who work in Norway who are from Poland. That's it for this video, and I hope you find this information useful if you're gonna move to Norway. Now, of course, there's probably a lot of different things you need, but at least I believe these are the some of the most crucial and important things you might going to need in emergency situations. Now, if there are other specific requests or questions, just contact me. Anyways, thank you all for watching. See you next time.